Please, sir, we can start now, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Good morning, y'all. I am very glad to welcome you for this webinar on behalf of Sky College of Technology. Wisdom comes from learning only. For this learning purpose, we are organizing seminars, webinars, emerging technology in the field of mechanical engineering um, for the benefits of students and staffs community. Now I introduced today resource persons for this webinar, engineer Mr. Mariappan. Um, he has more than 5 years experience in the sea field. Currently, he is working in fleet management, Hong Kong. Before start the session, I need to give the instruction to participants. Don't click the presentation icon in the Google Meet, and also please put your microphone on the mute mode through full session. Now I invite Mr. Mariappan to deliver the presentation on the topic of today webinar, Seafarers Unsung Heroes of the Sea. Thank you, Mr. Mariappan.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Tripadi Saran, and thank you. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for being in this webinar today. And I'm Mariappan. I'm working as a marine engineer in Fleet Management Limited, Hong Kong. Today, I'm going to take a short presentation on seafarers' life and what are the types of ships and what are the technical stuffs in the ship. It will be quite interesting because most of us is not aware about that field and profession about seafarers. So let's move on to this topic. Yeah, this is this presentation is divided into 3 sections. Firstly, who is seafarers and their roles and responsibilities. The second one is how to become a marine engineer after doing mechanical engineering. And finally, shipboard various machineries is the one technical stuffs.
Mariappan sir, the slide
Yeah,
is not shows in the screen, sir.
not showing.
Please, not showing the screen, sir.
Okay.
Please do that.
Mr. Tripadi Saran?
I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So this is the 3 sections. So I already explained. So let's move on to the topic. The first one is who is seafarers? The seafarers words is most commonly, not aware about many people. So now I will tell you what is seafarers. Seafarer is the person who is working on the ship. He is responsible for moving the ship from one place to another place. There is a seafarer team on board ship. Every ship is having around 20 to 25% in the ship. They used to call a crew, 20 or 25 crew. It's depend on the company and depend on the country also. But the safe manning limit of the ship is around 20 to 25. For the past thousands of years, people from among the world have been sending goods through the seas only. From the clothes you wear, from the food you eat, everything is brought to them by shipping industry. Also, the shipping industry has termed as invisible industry in the global trade. Just imagine if seafarers didn't work, what would happen in the world? Just imagine. there is no way for transporting goods. The global trade will come to standstill, and the people devoid would be devoid of their basic necessities. This thing will happen. Also, now you see the pandemic time, this COVID-19 crisis, they are the one frontline workers, but most of us not aware about that one. Here, we faced a lot of lockdowns and many industries closed and factories, everything closed. But the shipping industry still moving on, still continuously moving on, even in the critical areas in this North America and Europe during that crisis. This I am going to next slide. The crew structure in the onboard ship. We call actually the merchant navy. Merchant navy, civil. There are two navies: merchant navy and civil navy. Civil navy is for security, national security purpose. This is merchant navy. Merchant navy crew structure. Every ship having three departments. One is deck department and engine department and steward department. The deck department is commanding by master. Of course, master is the captain. He is overall in charge of the ship. That deck department also he is the one in charge. He is the one in charge of navigation, and his responsibility for all the cargoes in the ship, only cargoes. This department is non-technical department. Under the captain, there are three officers. They call chief officer, second officer, third officer, and below is called bosun and deck ratings. Ratings means helpers. So usually they have 10 people in the deck department, around 10 people. Every day the chief officer is closely work with the master to what job to assign for the rest of officers. So chief officer will assign the job for rest everyone, and also he is the one making sure of safety and security of the juniors under them. Then second one is engine department. Engine department, which so called is the marine engineers. It's handled commanding by the chief marine engineer, and under him there are three engineers: second engineer and third engineer, and fourth engineer also having. Then one is electrical engineer. Electrical engineer is common for all, and below that we have engine ratings. They are the one assisting. Usually have 3 to 4 persons for assistants. Then the next one is steward department. This is a galley staff. The normally having two people. One is chief cook and another one is messman. They are the one preparing food for everyone. This is the rank-based epaulets. Actually, you can see from here, there are these people are wearing black and white. These are officers and engineers. This uniform is called boiler suit, working cloth. These are the crews are called ratings. I mean helpers. So here you can see these epaulets wearing by officers and engineers according to their rank. This is the deck department. They call navigators. This area is called bridge. From here only they are navigating the ships. Navigating means they are the one driving the vessels. They are working like 4 hours on duty and 8 hours on rest. We have on board every ship have 3 officers and 3 assistants. Like every 4 hours, 1 officer, 1 assistant should be in that bridge, and he should be vigilant, and he should be very careful about the surroundings. Then second one is engine department. This is marine engineers. You can see the second one is the control room. From here only everyone, all the machineries output, everything is coming to this control room. From this monitor, you can see all the parameters. If anything abnormal, it's all the alarms will come to here only. From here you can make out and you can troubleshoot all the alarms. This is the maintenance things. We have a plant maintenance system on board. It's a kind of software. It will suggest you day-to-day jobs, so you can plan your job accordingly. This is the biggest job, like renewing piston rings. This will take approximately 8 to 10 hours. This is a riskiest job also. The next one is steward department. It's a galley staff. So from here only they are making food for everyone. This is the helpers, engine and deck ratings. Mainly their job is painting and the cleanliness of the ship. That is very important. They usually they maintain very hygienic in the onboard ships. Whenever the ship is arriving or departing time, they used to go for station. Station means they are that area only having a mooring rope for tying the vessel with the shore side. So these people, they are the one assisting that job. The next slide is type of ships. There are many types of cargo ships in this world. Totally around 55,000 ships is floating in the sea, and around 1.5 million seafarers they are operating the ships. This type of ships is based on what cargo they are carrying and the structure of the ships. The main is container ships, bulk carrier, tanker, passenger ships, naval ships, offshore and special purpose ships. First one is container ships. This is a container, it is a 40 feet equivalent unit container. Nowadays it is carrying on the ships, it's like a huge ship. It is carrying 24,000 container in one ship. Just imagine 24 lorry cargo it's carrying in one ship. This ship is operating by just 21 crew. This cargo is mainly all the packaged items is carrying by these containers, especially our food items. And they have refrigerated cargos. It's like a huge fridge, the home appliance fridge. It's like a huge fridge. They are carrying all the food items like fruits, cake, these kind of items. They are transporting by this container ships. There's the bulk carrier ship. It's specially structured ship. It's mainly transported cargo in a bulk form, not a package form, like our grains, ores, and cement. These kind of things is transporting by this coal, especially coal. We have many power plants is operating by the coal. These are all coming by this vessel only. It's bulk carrier ships. The next one is oil and chemical tanker ships. This is the one carrying crude oil and chemical from one place to another place, from the oil rig to the refinery. It's carrying by these giant vessels. The next one is gas tanker ships. All LPG, LNG, and liquefied chemicals is carried bulk form in these vessels. It's a highly safe vessel, also very risky to sail on this kind of vessels. And the next one is the name itself suggests it's a passenger ship. It's passengers transiting from one place to other place by this. Also is for enjoyment purpose. Mostly this vessel trade between, you can see this vessel trade between North America and Europe. The other one is a car carrier. It's also called a roll-on, roll-off vessel. All the cars is carrying by this vessel only. All the car, truck, everything is carrying by this vessels. This is a livestock carrier. Yeah.
Maripan sir,
Yeah.
person is not showing in the screen, sir. Please put on the screen.
Okay. Chhatrapati, can you see?
I can't able to see that. Now only it will connect.
Yeah. This is car carrier. Then it's a livestock.
Yes,
yeah. Livestock carrier. This livestock carrier, the purpose of this carrier is for transporting like cow, goat, and camels from one place to another place. The another one is offshore vessels. Normally, this vessel is used for finding the oil places in the ocean and also assisting that oil rig for any maintenance purpose. Also, it is called supply vessel. This is the topic. Then we will move on to that next topic. Very important topic for mechanical engineers, and most of us not aware about this. Is how to become a marine engineer after doing mechanical engineering. So this is the name GME, Graduate Marine Engineering. If you are a mechanical engineer and wish to get a job in the merchant navy, then you can do so by becoming a marine engineer through GME course. It's mostly mechanical and marine engineers have several subjects common, and this makes it easier to get additional degree in marine. All you need to do is 1 year specialized course, GME course. Before you think about marine engineer, you should be mentally and physically strong. That is a very important thing. It's a tough job also. The eligibility criteria also very important. You have to fulfill certain requirements, like you should be having mechanical engineering or naval architecture with 50% marks. Then in 10th and 12th exam, also, in 10th and 12th English, you should be having 50%, and you must not be more than 28 years old. That is important. The another important thing is health requirements. Before you decide, you must check yourself. You have to check physical fitness, everything. Also the color blindness. Normally, if you have color blindness, you cannot go to the sea field. The thing is, mostly we are not aware about the color blindness, because we are not, normally we used to check our visual thing only, not color blindness. So you must check the color blindness before you think about marine engineering. Yeah, this is a control room. So, this is a career flowchart of marine engineers from a mechanical engineer. Here you can see the first part is graduate mechanical engineer when you are in a 4th year. Then this is once you complete mechanical engineer, then you have to look for GME colleges. There are some prominent institutes in our places. Few colleges like Samudra Institute and Cochin Shipyard and AMET Chennai and IMI Goa, then Gordon Reed Shipbuilder in Calcutta. There are few institutes. Most of the companies, they have tied up with these companies for offering the placement. They used to call sponsorship, not placement. Sponsorship doesn't mean that they will pay your course fees. Not like that. They will offer you the job. That's it. So after completion, so you have to apply for this entry exam. Entry exam also is so difficult, not that easy, because it's not for getting admission in the college. It is like you are getting the placement in the ship. So the interview also is that much difficult. You must be prepared very nicely before appearing this exam. So once you selected the GME course, then they will teach you everything regarding the marine engineering in 12 months, in 1 year. So after 1 year, here you can see here 12 months pre-sea training, that is called GME course. Once you complete this GME course, you will place on board as a junior engineer. A fresh marine engineer will join in the ship as a junior marine engineer. Marine engineer also you will get stipend around 500 to 800 US dollar. It's around our 40 to 50,000 Indian rupee. So once you completion of trainee engineer as a 6 to 8 months enough. As per our Indian requirement and IMO requirement, 6 to 8 months enough. Once you completion of your sea time, you can appear the next level. It's called class 4 exam. This is the after GME. This is the important exam. Class 4 exam. It is conducting by Director General Shipping. It's a central government. It's pure government based exam. There is no private institute in this exam. So once you get class 4 certificate, it's called certificate of competency, you can join in the ship as a 4th marine engineer. After then 4th marine engineer, after completion of the training and necessary seat time, and based on your performance, then company will give you a promotion as a third engineer. From fourth engineer to third engineer, there is no requirement for to give the exam. There is no exam. So you can become a third engineer if you have a good performance. Then from third engineer, once you completion of third engineer and C time as 18 months, the next level you can see complete 18 months. Then you can give an exam for second engineer. It is called class 2 certificates. That is a senior engineer level. Also very important that the exam also will be more difficult. So once you pass, then you can become a second engineer. Then after second engineer, also you have to complete 12 months, the last level. 12 months, if you complete 12 months and after gaining good amount of experience and on the basis of performance, then they will give you a chief engineer. Chief engineer is a topmost engineer. He is a commanding of all technical things. And also the important thing, do note that promotion will solely depend on the company performance. Even if you have certificates or experience, it's depend on company decision. That is a very important thing. Most of the guys, they having a ticket and experience, but company doesn't want to give promotion because the company is the one they are monitoring a marine engineer performance. So they are the one final authority to give promotion. Also here I have mentioned the salary things. Like when you are a junior engineer, you will get this much amount. Then fourth engineer, you will get around 3 lakhs. Now, as per now, you will get around 2.5 to 3 lakhs rupees. Third engineer salary is around 4 lakhs, and second engineer it's around 6 to 7 lakhs you can get, and chief engineer same 8 to 10 lakhs. If you are sailing in a LPG tanker and oil tanker, your salary will be around 10 to 11 lakhs. Actually, the dry cargo means container and bulk carrier vessel salary will be little less than that LPG and crude oil carrier. Then also, when you study the GME course, they will teach you all the basic safety courses. This is a very important course for all the seamen. The first one is personal survival techniques, how to survive if in case ship sink, how you can survive from the ship. The second one is firefighting. Then third one is medical first aid. This actually 5 basic courses is very important for everyone. Once you complete this GME course and this basic safety courses, then our Indian government will issue a CDC, continuous discharge certificate. This is the seaman passport for entry into the ship. This is the foremost thing, same like our passport. The second one is certificate of competency. Is after you, after you become marine engineer, every level you have to give exam. Once you pass this exam, they will issue this certificate of competency. You can see it's all from our government of India. Then let's focus on our technical things. We'll go to the technical topic. This is important navigation equipments. Navigation equipments means all the equipments located in the bridge. They are the one navigating. So all the equipments is in this area only. First is autopilot steering. The word itself suggests that autopilot. In the mid of the ocean, no need to drive manually the ship. There is one more option is autopilot. The autopilot, it will drive the ship automatically according to your set voyage. That voyage actually now also have all electronic copy. Previously, the officers they used to plot and they used to set in that system. Now everything is automatic. So once you set, the ship will take you in that place exactly. So you just have to carefully look around that vessel. Sometimes And a few vessels will follow you, also some vessels will come forward to your vessel. So in that time, you have to communicate with the nearby vessel for avoiding the collision. Otherwise, there will be a safe in the mid of ocean. Only whenever we arrive ship to the shore side, uh, normally that called pilot people, the local marine people, they used to come to the ship. They will take you to the shore. Shore means, I mean, they will take you to the port side, because every countries have different languages. That will be the language barrier. So if something can happen while arriving the ship to the port, so that time that country pilot will assist you to take the ship to the port. This is the electronic chart. Normally they used to install in this systems, so the ship will pass through that same voyage. It is connected with our GPS systems. If ship deviate from that voyage plan, it will give you the alarm, so you can adjust manually. This is the radar system. Yeah, it's a radar system. Here you can see around 50-kilometer range. You can see all the ships. You can see all the small dots, all the things of ships. So you can communicate before if any vessel is coming to nearby to your vessel. Before that, you can avoid that voyage. You can divert that voyage to other way. Then this is the voyage data recorder. This is the one recording all the things happening in the bridge. So what are the commands you are giving, what you are talking in the bridge, everything is recording in this voice data record. This is something like a black box in the aeroplane. If something goes wrong, then authorities will investigate through this one. Then we'll move on to that propulsion equipment. Yeah, this is the main propulsion engine. This is the world biggest two-stroke engine. Normally is producing around 65,000 kilowatt power. You can see that view. It's a 12-unit engine. This is the view, cross-sectional view of two-stroke engine. Here you can see all the cranking system. From top, this is called exhaust port, and second one is, you see, piston, connecting rod, then connecting rod and this crankshaft. You can see that huge engines. This area is the final area is called flywheel. Yeah. This flywheel is connected with this propeller shaft. This is the one driving this huge propeller. By revolving this propeller, ship is moving. Here I will tell you something about two-stroke engine, this marine two-stroke engine, how it is working. Here you see that this orange color is exhaust port. Then from exhaust port, it is connected with the turbocharger. From the turbocharger, the air inlet is passing through the air cooler. From the air cooler, it is passing to the engine inside through the scavenge port. This is the scavenge port. When the piston reaches BDC, the air will enter into the liner. So it will push exhaust, unburned exhaust gas also. This is the thing. There is a cylinder, exhaust valve, cylinder gate, is a liner. This is piston, this long yellow color piston. This is connecting rod and crankshaft. Here also you can see this cross section. So when the piston reaches BDC, air is admitting into the liner. So when it starts moving up, it will compress the air to the high pressure and high temperature. When it is reached GDC, then fuel is injected into the cylinder. Then it will ignite the fire due to the high temperature of air and pressure. And the pressure will be about 200 bar. That's why that marine engine construction is so robust. Then same when the downward stroke, the exhaust valve will open, then all the gases will pass through the exhaust manifold. This exhaust manifold is connected with the turbocharger. This turbocharger is like an exhaust gas recovery system. So that turbocharger will use for sucking the air from the atmosphere and compressing and send it to the engine again. Here I will show you that cycle. You can see that two-stroke cycle. Also this is a four-stroke cycle. This two-stroke cycle, piston is BDC and TDC. The next one is ship steering. It's also quite interesting. This machinery is fitted inside the ship. This area that what called this is called a rudder. This rudder penetrating through the hull, and it is connected with these systems, the rudder fins. This is the one steering the ship to right or left side. Actually, we used to call port or starboard. Call left side is port and right side is starboard. Based on this rudder turning angle, the ship will move. Here you can see, if rudder come to this way, the ship also move in that way. This angle, this is the one steering, this is the one is controlling from the bridge. This is a four-stroke engine. The purpose of four-stroke engine is producing the electricity for the shipboard operations. It's a very important thing. It's a four-stroke engine. This is the auxiliary engine part. It is connected with the alternator. This is now around 3,800 kilowatt engines. Normally, every ship is fitted with 4 generators. If it is big ship, there is a 4 generator required. This is the cross-sectional view of four-stroke engine. There is huge difference between two-stroke and four-stroke engines. Here, the cylinder head valve assembly is totally different. In two-stroke engine, one revolving, all the operation is power stroke is happening. But here, you need 2 crank rotation for 1 power stroke. That's why it is called four-stroke. Then big engine is called two-stroke engines. Here you can see this is inlet port, this is exhaust port. Here it is piston, liner, and it's connected with the crankshaft. This crankshaft is connected with the alternator. So here I will tell you, this is a four-stroke engine. Here you can see this is the first rotation. When the piston from top tent center to bottom tent center, the air will suck to the liner. Here, air will suck to the liner. Then from the BDC to TDC stroke, the air will compress to the high pressure and high temperature. Then that time, the fuel will inject just before TDC, and fuel injection will stop just after TDC. Then power stroke. This is a power stroke. The gas expansion will happen. Then once it reaches BDC, again that exhaust port, all the exhaust gas will move out from the cylinder. This is the four-stroke. Here you can see, here within 1 cycle everything is happening. Here you need 2 cycles. This is the main distribution board. From the alternator, all the power come here only. From here, you have to, nowadays we are using 6.6 kV in the ship. So you have to step down to 440 for general purpose. So here we have big transformers for stepping down. Then from here only distributing all the power to the various places in the ship. Then next one is boiler. So auxiliary boiler. It's around 10 bar boiler. So boiler is main purpose is to producing the steam for various purposes. On board you need steam for mainly the steam need for heating up the fuel oil for the engines. The marine engines using the 700 CST fuel oil, same like our tar. So you have to heat up to 13 CST at 150-degree temperature. For that purpose, you need heater. So if you fix electric heater, there will be no benefit. Steam heater, steam heater is quite effective than electric heater. So main purpose of steam is for heating the fuel oil and our accommodation steam heating. While vessel traveling in the cold area, you need heater. So that time also the steam is using for that. And most of the tanker vessels like LPG, LNG vessel, you cannot use big two-stroke engines because that gas is very easily can catch fire. If you use a two-stroke engine, then something goes wrong, it will harm the ship. The ship will explode. In olden days, they usually use boiler and producing steam. Then the steam they are admitting to the turbine. From the turbine, the turbine they are connected with the propeller shaft. Here we are connecting the marine engine connected with the propeller, and the LPG LNG tankers turbine is directly coupled, not directly, with the step down gear. It is connected with the propeller shaft. But in the dry vessels, boiler purpose is not that much. But in crude oil tanker and LPG, that boiler you have big boiler and purpose is also need more efficiently because the crude oil tanker you have to heat up oil all the way. You can when you pump out from the oil rig, same like it's like a tar. So you have to maintain it at in the liquid level by heating up. When you discharge that crude oil, you have to heat up oil. So you have to heat up oil by the steam only. So in that vessel, boiler is very important. Here you can see that red color thing is for burning apparatus. This is the one giving the flame to the boiler. It's called, there are many types of burners. This one type is called a pressure jet burner. The fuel oil is injecting through this area only. This area inside is combustion chamber. The top of that area all have tubes and steam drums. This boiler and mechanical engineers you can study well in the power plant engineering. This is also very interesting thing. It's a freshwater generator. It's a desalination plant. Usually on board, we don't have freshwater, so we are using this freshwater generator to convert seawater to the freshwater. Every day around this kind of freshwater generator producing 40 tons. So we are using a waste heat from the main engine. The marine engineering producing a lot of energy, but we are not using that much energy for propelling the engine. So that waste heat we are using for this freshwater generator. Here you can see this is a construction on board. Here you can see the pictorial drawing. This is a bottom section. Bottom section, we are admitting the seawater into the bottom section. Also, we are admitting that high temperature water from the main engine. That high temperature water will heat up the seawater. So seawater will become steam. That steam again will admit to the condenser. So what will happen? That condenser will condense this steam to water. So this is the purest water. We are collecting it to the tank. Normally the water boiling temperature is 100 degree, but this heating we cannot get 100 degree from the main engine for heating up the water. So we have to create the vacuum in this chamber. That is the main thing. So boiling temperature 100 degree at atmospheric pressure, but if it is vacuum in the chamber, so around 80 degree is enough to convert the water to steam. That is the important thing. This freshwater generator. Vacuum is very important word in this freshwater generator. So it will convert from seawater to steam. Then the steam again condensed to water. Then this water will pump through this distillate pump to the tank. Then again, because when you convert seawater to freshwater, there will be a lot of less of minerals. So you have to add mineralizer also. Then there are many 3-4 stages of mineralizer also will be fitted in the ship. The first originator, then next one is air compressor. This is the air compressor. We should have 3 or 4 air compressors. On board, this is air bottle, air receiver. You can ask how you start the engine. These kind of big engines. Normally, our bike and car engine is starting by battery motor or spark ignition. This kind of setup. But this kind of huge engine, how you can start by a starting motor and all. For that starting purpose, we are fitted this air compressor. It's called main air compressor. Normally it compress 30 bar air in these 2 air bottles. You can see these 2 air bottles. So whenever you start the main engine, the control system will allow this air admit into the cylinder according to the firing order. So it will push the piston to the down. Then after reach certain RPM, then firing will start. So for that purpose, this big air bottle fitted. Then otherwise here we have one small air bottle. This air bottle is for general purpose air. For other thing, we can use pneumatic guns for small guns for maintenance purpose. For that and cleaning purpose. For that we are using 7 bar air. But for starting the engine, we are using 30 bar air. For that thing, we need this main air compressors. Then this is a fuel oil purifier. This is very important equipment. This is the one purifying the fuel oils. When you receive the fuel oil from the shore, it is not that much purity. It will be contaminated with many dirty particles and cat fines and water, many things there. If you admit directly to the engine, then all the components will spoil. You cannot replace. All the components price will be very high. So before that, you must purify the oil effectively. So for that, they given this purifiers. So this purifier normally it's revolving around 12,000 to 13,000 RPM. So all the dirty particles usually move away, and like every 1 hour, that dirty particle will remove automatically from the system by automation. Here I will show the cross section. Here you can see the dirty oil admitting to the mid of the purifier. Then from here we have plenty plates inside. That all the plates section, everything will revolve around 11,000 RPM. So all the dirty particle will move to the outer. Clean oil will move in between that inlet and outer periphery. That clean oil will pump through the other way pipe. This dirty particle every 1 hour to 2 hours, so automatically this part will open, then this dirty particle will remove automatically. This process is happening. So there is a fuel oil purifier. Then the foremost thing is firefighting systems. In ship, everywhere you can see fire detectors, because all the places can catch fire very easily. Even if you carry cargo also, they are carrying plenty chemical in packaged form and dangerous chemical carrying in the containers. In the engine room, we are handling many fuel oils and lubrication oils. All the things that ignition point is very less. We are using a marine diesel oil and distillate fuel oil. Everything is ignition point is very less. So you have to handle everything very carefully. If you make a small mistake, then it will be a big disaster and it will lead to a catastrophic failure. So for that purpose, everywhere there is a fire detector. So there are 3 types of fire detector. You can see in all the factories, like our theater, shopping mall. Normally there are 3 types of fire detector. One is flame and smoke and heat detectors. 3 types of fire detector. Once it senses the fire, it will trigger the alarm systems. So everybody has to muster in one place. So of course we are also firefighters. We know how to fight the fire. Have to muster, and we have to obey the senior's order according to that emergency situation. Everybody having contingency plan. So according to that, we have to react. There are many firefighting. This is a fire detection and firefighting equipments also is there. Like this fixed firefighting CO2 bottles. Every like a big vessel according to their capacity. Mostly that vessel fitted with around 500 to 600 CO2 bottles. This CO2 bottle is not automatic release. If you release, then it will be a problem. Uh, this one solely released by Chief Marine Engineer. He is responsible for this fixed firefighting system. Then many portable fire extinguishers are also available on board. If it is small fire, you can use that portable extinguisher. Everywhere, every platform, they fitted the 3-4 fire extinguishers, and also have water fire extinguishing medium. You can use. This is the last chance. If you cannot do anything, then this is the last chance you have to release this CO2 system. For releasing CO2 system, you must get permission from various levels. So this is the thing. The next one is the refrigeration systems. You can see ship refrigerator we are using for keeping our foodstuffs. Normally we used to purchase our food in one place. We used to store the provision for around 30 to 40 days. So we have like a huge room, 3-4 rooms, like a meat room, fish room, and vegetable room, and a dry room, like that. For that room, we need like the same like our working principle, same like our home appliance fridge. But ship, you have to cool 3 or 4 rooms. For that purpose, this machinery fitted. This is air conditioning systems. The same almost principle same like the refrigeration. The thing is here air conditioning. This is a air handling unit. The air handling unit inside they have fitted with many things like a humidifier, dehumidifier, and steam heating system. Here you can see that cover with the pipe cover with the insulations. This is a steam heating system. Normally we are using in a cold area. Here this area we have evaporator sections. Evaporator, dehumidifier, everything is installed in this air handling unit. From here, air is supplied to the accommodation. Their accommodation is the place where crew are staying. So each and every room is having that air duct supply. It's a centralized unit. Then this is a heat exchanger. Yeah, I think you guys studying in 3rd year. This is a plate type heat exchanger. Mainly you have to cool the engine waters. I mean engine producing the high temperature water, so you must cool that thing. For that purpose, seawater is admitting to one way, then it is the one cooling that fresh water. For that we are using plate type heat exchangers, and also we have lubrication oil cooler, also plate type exchanges. Then this is the plate type, and this is tube type heat exchanger. This is the one we are heating the fuel oil to 150 degree. We are using steam as a heating medium for heating that fuel oil by tube type heater. Then here is pump. Pumps, there are many type of pumps on board ships. Mostly for handling the fresh water, we are on board, they are fitted with the centrifugal pumps. And for handling the fuel oil and lubrication oil, fitted with the screw or gear pump. So mostly you can see in the ship this kind of pumps. This is centrifugal pump. Here they are fitted with a gear pump. This is a hydrophore systems. Like it's for supplying the fresh water to all the places in the onboard. You need high pressure water because like ship is like 13-14 story building, so you need high pressure water in the top area. For that they are using compressed air in this hydrophore tank. Normally the tank 3/4 filled with water and 1/4 filled with the air. This air is compressing that water to 6 to 7 bar and sending the high pressure water to all over the area. Here is one they have fitted with all mineralizers for drinking purpose. Yeah. Then the another main important thing in the ship is MARPOL, used to call marine pollution prevention. They have very stringent rules regarding this pollution. We are the one actually pioneer of environment protector. Even we cannot nowadays we are using a 0.1% sulfur fuel oil for avoiding air pollution. Here is the it's called oily water separator. Even we cannot pump any kind of water overboard directly. You must pass through the water through this oily water separator. It is the one separating the oil and water. Only water you can pump to the sea. If it is small content of oil, the system will detect the oil content, then it will divert to the water to the ship only. That water we used to send to the shore by pumping system. We cannot pump a single drop of oil to the ship. This is very most important equipment in the ship for avoiding pollution. This is the one incinerator for burning all the not all the garbages, few garbages and waste oil. They, at least every month around 15 to 16 ton of oil, waste oil producing the ships. That oil you can incinerate in this incinerator. And also all the paper cardboards and wooden things you can incinerate. Normally they are incinerating around 1000-degree temperature. And this is a sewage treatment plant. Actually our toilet system also it's you cannot directly send to the overboard. That one also you must send to this plant. This is a biological treatment plant. So once you send to this treatment plant, the bacteria will purify that water nicely. Then after that you can send to the sea. For that purpose they are fitted with this sewage treatment plant. And that's it. This is bring to me the end of my presentation. That's it. And thank you so much for your attention. Mr. Tripadi Iswaran.
Hello.
Yeah, my presentation is completed.
Yes, sir. This is Dr. Sundarajan. Really, it is very good presentation. Some doubts the participants are asking. The first one, what is the technical area to concentrate to make the GME? It is asked by Sufi. What is the technical area to concentrate to make the GME?
Yeah, sir. The main subject, core subject is fluid dynamics and thermodynamics.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Another question, sir. Whether there is any opportunities for electronics and communication engineering? This is asked by Mr. Venkatesh.
Yeah, sir. The electronic communication engineer. Actually, every ship is having one electrical engineer, one marine electrical engineer. That marine electrical engineers come from this stream only. Whether you have DEEE or EC or E&I, these three department guys can enter into the merchant navy by this marine electrical officer course. This is a 4-month course. By that you can enter into the merchant navy.
Yeah, thank you, sir. This is the last question from this is from Bhuvaneshwaran. Sir, whether any sensors are used in fire detectors? Sir, any sensors are used in fire detectors? If it is so, what are they?
Yeah, sensors means there are many types of fire detectors. It depends upon the maker. Actually, what the principal using inside is our basic thing. If like a heat detector, a heat detector means by heat the element will melt, then it will close the circuit. Like that only. It's like a basic common thing. Same smoke detector, they have inside have screen. Once that screen is covered with the smoke, then the other way the circuit will close. That's it. All the thing is the electrical circuit will have to close. That's it.
Yes, sir. Were there any questions from audience? If it is any questions from audience, you shall give it at the chat box. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your queries. And this is a time for vote of thanks. I like to call Mr. Ranganathan for the vote of thanks.
Yeah, sure.
Ranganathan sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Dear participants, greeting to all. This is M. Sriranganathan from Department of Mechanical Engineering. It's my privilege to propose vote of thanks on this online webinar session. I, on behalf of my department, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to participants who blessed us their presence and took out valuable time. I must mention our deep sense appreciation to Engineer Mariappan for this valuable presentation on Seafarers Unsung Heroes of Sea. I also wish to express my gratitude to our management, General Manager Development, Assistant General Manager, and Principal Dr. Ebi Danny for providing us an opportunity to organize this webinar session with engagement and support. I heartily congratulate to all the participants for their active participants in this live webinar session. And also, I extend my big thanks to our mechanical department for their entire support and contribution. Participants' kind attention, feedback form link is provided at the chat box. Kindly fill it after submission. You will receive your e-certificate through your registered mail ID. Thank you to all. Thank you, sir.